Heather and Krista here. Heather,
Hi.
we're in the same room. We're so excited.
We are.
Welcome to my dining room. You're with us. We are super excited today because we have a brand new initiative coming out. We are calling it Leadership for Liminal Spaces, and I'm going to invite Heather to share a little more about what's on the horizon.
Yeah, so we're as Krista says, we're really excited about this. It feels like what is the next thing that's needed, both the next evolution of our work and also what's needed in the world right now. Like when we start looking around at some of the complexity that we're living with in the middle in this world between things like climate change and political polarization, the question that kept coming up for us is like, what is the leadership that's needed in the world right now? And what we came up with, what evolved for us, is that we really want to help evolve people into a leadership that is grounded in wisdom and strength, in a values system, a deeply rooted values system. And so we're developing this program. It's a year-long program called Leadership for Liminal Spaces. And so it's really about learning to evolve your leadership to face the moment of liminality, when the world feels kind of chaotic, when there's instability, when you don't know what the next evolution is going to be, and you're having to let go of some old story, maybe an old delusion of what the world would be like, and it's not going to turn out that way. And so we want to support people that are in any kind of form of leadership, whether it's personal leadership, family leadership, organizational, community leadership, who are in that place of supporting people through that really kind of lost place of the world doesn't make sense anymore the way I thought it would make sense.
Totally.
And we need to navigate this space. And so we have a lot of resources and tools and skills that we want to equip people with for that moment. And so we've developed this year-long program. There's 10 webinars. We're going to do kind of the last Thursday of every month. We'll have a webinar, and then we'll follow that up with a study group. You can either just sign up for the webinars, or you can join us for the study group for the 3 weeks after that webinar. There'll be a study group where we'll go into more depth on that topic. And we're just going to really explore, what does it mean? The concept that we're basing this on is like, what does it mean to be a grounded guide? How can you show up like really grounded in, like I say, in strength, in the community, in the collective wisdom, in relationships, in a relationship with the earth and with your spiritual practices? How do you stay grounded in a time of liminality and change? And so this is kind of where our vision is taking us, where our work is evolving into, which feels like the next level of what we're developing with the Center for Holding Space. I don't know if you want to talk about some of the other things that we're doing to support this vision.
Yeah, for sure. I think, well, for me anyway, just to sort of riff a bit on what you were saying, the question that's come up in my mind a lot this year, especially with the advance of AI and all of that sort of stuff, is how do we be more human?
Right.
Like, how do we be more human in a world that feels less and less human sometimes?
Yeah.
And I love the idea of the grounded guide that you've really been leaning into. So in addition to the webinar, the monthly webinars and the study groups, we're also hoping to produce short form videos, like 5, maybe 10 minutes tops, something that you can watch on your coffee break at work, just to get a little extra something from the topic that we're delving into that month. And then we'll also be providing some long form content on our Substack, and potentially some interviews with some folks that we feel really represent the topic that we're looking into.
Yeah.
That's yet to be determined. We haven't gotten that far yet, but we know so many really great people that we love talking to. So I imagine we'll bring them in as well.
Yeah, and I think part of this is just being in what's needed, like showing up for this is what's pulling us right now. So it's going to be an evolving kind of body of work for us, and growing out of our work in holding space. We've been spending many years now developing the practice of holding space, and what's the next iteration of it feels like supporting people in this concept of the grounded guide. and then what will be needed. We're still going to pay attention to that. I'm for example, one of the places I'm teaching live will be in Belgium in the spring, and we'll be looking for other opportunities to offer workshops related to this concept, to see how it needs to evolve to meet the moment. I think is really what we're opening ourselves up to in this new iteration.
Yeah, it's felt really important. Like for a lot of our life as the Center for Holding Space, we focused a lot, I think, on personal development, holding space for others, holding space for ourselves. But this really feels like Heather said, the next evolution of what is needed in the world. How do you now take this stuff and apply it in the places where you live and work and need to be with other people? So it feels really important. It feels really timely. And I don't know if I'm springing this on you. We can edit this out if you want, but I don't know if it feels appropriate, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about your own journey in thinking about the grounded guide and what that means in terms of how you're showing up in the world, and the spaces where you're finding yourself both online and in person. I don't know if you wanted to share a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, this has been kind of a personal quest for a number of years. I think one of the places that this was really birthed for me, I remember years ago going through a really difficult liminal space personally, and I heard a speaker, she was talking about the times of darkness in our lives, and the statement she made, and it was one of those moments I felt like she was talking directly to me. It was like all the other room disappeared and she spoke to me, and she said, the world needs more people who know how to navigate in the dark. And I thought, oh, this is my work to do, is to learn to navigate in dark places so that I can offer some light to other people. And so I think in many ways we've been building that capacity. And so I've been really, especially in this last year, in this reflective place of what are the ways that I find more grounding? What are the spaces? Who are the people that help me feel more grounded? What are the practices that help me feel more grounded? And so if you follow me on social media, you'll know that I spend a lot of time out in the woods, by the lake, by the water. Those are my grounding places. I take a lot of pictures lately of tiny mushrooms because there's something about getting down on the actual ground, in the moss, in the soil, to feel more grounded in who and what I want to be in the world. And less online, less and less showing up in places that make me feel more wobbly. And so we are both in that conversation a lot of like, how do we model being grounded in ourselves, and what does that mean about the boundaries that we need? And so that's really what we want to bring, and we'll be talking a lot more about our own personal practices to get there. To invite you into being that and finding that for yourself. And I also want to say, like, we really have a broad definition of leadership. We're calling it leadership for liminal spaces, but you can be a leader with your family, you can be a leader in your neighborhood or your community center, you can be a leader in your church, you can be a leader of a big organization or just a small team. We're not going to pull strings or
we're not gatekeeping the term.
We're not gatekeeping. That's the word I wanted. We're really opening this up to anyone who feels they have feels pulled into offering something of meaning to the world that needs it. And maybe it's the way you show up online, you're offering some leadership in that way. Whatever it is, we want to support you in finding your way of being a grounded guide for all those who feel lost in your circles.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other, I think too, when we think about leaders, we're thinking about the leaders who have been appointed over us, and how that's been a real struggle to find people who are grounded in ways that feel stabilizing, I think, to a lot of us. So I think the challenge really is for all of us to step into these leadership roles in more meaningful ways and in more human, more human ways that are less reliant on systems that are no longer serving us the way that they might have in the past. And hopefully, this is me dreaming big here, but hopefully bringing some some actionable change
Yeah.
in the world, and supporting enough people to participate in that change that it actually metastasizes and becomes something more beautiful.
Yeah, because I think you and I both have a strong belief is like what's in our own backyard to influence.
That's right.
Like what if I open my front door of my house, what's within my range of influence? Like I can't change the whole political system despite the fact that it seems really messed up and we're making some really harmful choices in our political systems. That's not my sphere of influence. But the place that I can be of influence, I want to find my way of being grounded so that I can offer some stability within that smaller system, and then change the realm of space that we can shape through our influence, creating alternatives to systems, like you say, that are not serving us well anymore. Like what's the smaller version of that? The community version of that we can offer something into by the way that we show up in it. And so that's where we want to be. Those are the spaces, those are the conversations we want to have. We want to engage you. One of the things we're good at the Center for Holding Space is a holding space and gathering people for meaningful conversations. And so we're really looking forward to, especially I think the study group, where we can go into like, what does this mean when the rubber hits the road? What does this mean to live out these practices and live out this intention in the world as we know it right now in this moment in history?
Yeah, and I think one of the other things we're excited about too is exploring like an online public space that'll be free, that you can just show up and see what it's like to be in a space that's held well. Like Heather said, like it's the one thing we know we're good at, and we may be tooting our own horn here, but we have heard time and again that the online spaces that we and our team, I should say, have created have been incredibly meaningful, because we're so intentional about how we hold them. And so we'd love to share that for free with the world, because we do feel like we need more public spaces like that. So that'll be another thing that you can look forward to as well. I don't know, it's exciting.
To say that, just to give a bit of a caveat with that, is that we're going to create some of these spaces, but they will be alternative spaces to the social media spaces, because what we're recognizing is that it is increasingly more difficult to be a grounded guide in the social media spaces the way the social media companies have created them to exist. And so we're looking for alternatives, like I say, the smaller community spaces that are alternatives to trying to be heard in a really noisy and unhealthy environment on social media spaces. So follow us on Substack is a really great place to hear about everything that we're doing, attenderspace.substack.com. You don't even need to have a Substack account to just register your email, and then you'll get it in your inbox. So if you don't have any interest in downloading Substack, you don't need to. Put your name, just go to centerforholdingspace.com, scroll down to the bottom, you can throw your email address in, and then you're going to get all our emails. That's a way to stay in touch with us. Our YouTube channel will be loading more content onto that. That'll be some of our free resources that will be available. And like I say, less and less on the social media spaces that are not feeling like the most healthy place for us to show
the
up.
mainstream social media.
Yeah, exactly.
If we can be a little tongue-in-cheek there. We're really excited. We would love for you to join us, love for you to get involved, connect with us. We're really excited. Heather talked a little bit about opening your front door and doing what you can with what you have. And that's, I think, what we're doing. Like, we've opened our front door as the center and gone, what is it that we can offer to the folks right in front of us? And this really feels like it right now. So we're excited for its evolution. We're still going to be offering all of our other programs. Know Yourself, Free Yourself is coming up soon. Not the Main Character. We'll run that again in the fall, as well as the Holding Space Foundation program and certification programs, with this leadership thing sort of layered on top of it. So it's all connected and it's all related, but this is really, we're hoping it'll be accessible to lots of people. The price point's going to be quite relatively low. We're also hoping that it will be appealing to folks who may need to apply for funding from their organizations to participate. We're trying to make it really streamlined for you to be able to do that, so that we're not just relying on people's, you know, self-care income, because that doesn't feel right in this economy either. So we're really trying to be as inclusive as we can, while also continuing to be as focused as we always have been on our integrity and values, and our desire to hold space well for the folks that come to us, and offering them the skills and the tools to be able to do that for others too. So come and join us.
See you online.
See you online.